Got it. All right. Well, welcome. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever we're different people located all over the place. Welcome to the team development webinar, where we'll spend about 45 minutes on talking about how team development helps create happier workplaces that comprise of people that achieve better results. Who am I? I'm Tatiana St. Germain. I'm an executive coach and talent advisor to organizations. I'm also an assessment expert, and I've been in this industry for over 20 years. And I know why team development is so important. Obviously, I coach and work on team development with many of my clients. So I have my reasons, and I will be sharing those reasons with you. But I'd like to start with our attendees so that I kind of gauge where we're at and what you're looking to get out of this. What drew you to this topic? If you could unmute and just chime in real quick. Cassie?
Sure. So I'm with the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits, and we are a training-based organization. So we offer a lot of professional development. And one of our courses that we recently built was leading effective teams. And with the nature of the sector in Oklahoma, we just see a lot of nonprofits struggling with retaining employees, figuring out their team structures, what a team structure should look like when there's so much turnover, and folks that have been there forever are trying to welcome in new folks, and expectations are different, experience is different. So just getting everyone on the same page to build a strong team so you can deliver the mission, the vision, and everything. So I was just kind of looking for additional resources, perspectives, maybe tools that we haven't thought of to share with our members.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Lavette?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Hello. Sorry, thank you, Tati. Actually, what attracted me to the topic is the team development part. I am a team leader and a senior staff in a school, and then communication and collaboration as well. I do a lot of collaboration across the school, but also within the borough. So any strategies and tips would be beneficial to help me with my work. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for sharing. So you're exactly on point. We've collected some statistics from our colleagues, our own research, and from our clients. And what we're finding is that, well, we know that people are the blood life of the organization, any organization in any industry, profit, nonprofit. We're all humans that come together to achieve some kind of result, right? And so teams of people working together become these building blocks that make up the foundation and even the entire structure of the company. So it is important. I don't need to preach to the choir here. You guys know how important it is for people to come together to achieve results. And I think the 60% statistic is maybe a little low, but it says that at least 60% of the time employees are engaging with their team members. It's probably even more. We're not working in isolation, we're working on teams. And 76% of employees are part of at least 2 teams. That was also an interesting finding. It's probably because of how we have to unleash talent throughout projects. There could be departmental project teams, cross-functional teams, remote teams, management teams, and you have to bring different people together on different teams. So there is, when you don't have collaboration, when you don't have communication, and the teamwork is poor, a lot of time and money is wasted dealing with that. In fact, statistics tell us it's up to 7 hours per week. It could be a little low, I guess it depends on your team, can be spent just fixing problems between people on your teams. You've probably all heard of the 5 dysfunctions of the team, Patrick Lencioni. So this is not just in the last 5 years, like our previous slide said, that 86% of companies say teamwork is more important today than it was 5 years ago. Well, according to Pat Lencioni in his book, it's always been important. And he was talking about, he still is talking about these building blocks of an effective team. I have colleagues who deliver this program, the 5 Behaviors of a Cohesive Team, and we get rave reviews. It really helps teams to collaborate and achieve the results. But I wanted to point out just 3 major components that I'm finding are key to success, to the effectiveness of a team. Nearly 4 in 5 people report that they are uncomfortable, unwilling to acknowledge their weaknesses to one another. And I'm not talking about some of the softer stuff, but really it just highlights this pervasive lack of vulnerability-based trust. And so it makes you wonder, well, if your team members are not comfortable to share certain things about themselves, are they going to be comfortable to come forward when they notice a problem, when they see that something is not working? And that's where that lack of trust can impact results, and it can impact teamwork. That's why trust is important. It's not that kind of a soft, fluffy thing. It's critical. Talking about commitment, I spend a lot of time in my coaching sessions talking about making team meetings effective and also make them productive. There's a difference. More than half of team members usually leave a typical meeting without a commitment to agreed upon decisions. And another thing on this topic about commitment on who does what, and I call it what by when by whom. That's the formula I use: what by when by whom. When we say at the end of the meeting, we are going to do this, who is we? Be very careful with that pronoun. Who is we? It spreads the responsibility and causes lack of commitment. And so it's not surprising that the team will get back together to the next meeting and nothing is done. Well, it's like, well, I thought we were going to do it. Well, who? So people need to leave the meeting to knowing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, by when, come prepared to the next meeting. And this, when there's lack of commitment, this also means that employees will end up struggling with motivation longer term. We're talking about meaning and motivation in their work because nothing gets done and they don't have anything assigned to them personally. They're not feeling fulfilled. And as a result, the team success and results will suffer also. On accountability, that's also a tough one to talk about. 59% of people say that that's roughly what 3 in 5 people report that their team members often refuse to take personal responsibility to improve team's performance in the future, long term. And this unwillingness to examine the errors and the opportunity for improvement and or blaming coworkers for the problems is basically a recipe for mediocre team performance. So that's an important component that we often talk about as well. And by the way, welcome to folks that are joining us just now. We are recording the session. Perfect. And Cassie, you mentioned impact on retention. Retention is critical. When you don't have great teamwork, no trust, no commitment, no collaboration, no accountability for poor results, people don't like to be fully engaged in losing. I've yet to meet that individual. We want to be fully engaged in winning. So if the team is losing, wasting time, not achieving results, people will leave. And we've known this for many years. People don't leave people. They leave impersonal, disconnected, dysfunctional workplaces. So if an individual loves the people they work with, it will have statistically a very high impact on how likely they're going to stay, regardless of what's thrown their way, regardless of the challenges, when they enjoy working with the people they're with. So, begs the question, why can't people just get along, talk through things, and just achieve results? Well, what we're finding is that we're all different. Everybody's made unique. We all come with our own set of predispositions, tendencies, strengths, weaknesses, quirks of personality. And I use this analogy here. Let's see if I can move to the next slide. I have used this slide for as long as I've been in the business. People are like icebergs. We do not really know who the person is, even after having worked with them for many years side by side, because people will only show the tip of the iceberg. Through day-to-day interactions, you can observe only 10% of who the person is or what they're choosing to show you. And this is why we often are surprised when something stressful happens in the workplace, or, well, you know, when COVID happened, we were surprised by certain people's reactions, how they acted, how they reacted, and did they come through and pull the team together and still achieve the results despite the adversity, or did they fall to pieces? These are the things that came out of left field seemingly, but I will argue that it's always been there. It's just been under the water surface. The 90% of who the person truly is, along with their potential, realized or unrealized, is below the water surface. They themselves may not even know this. And of course, all of their, how they learn, how they communicate, behavioral tendencies, what motivates people, and lack of understanding that 90% of the total person can cause surprises down the road and can cause, you know, triggers and conflict, and poor communication. So you really need to know what makes people tick. You need to know their strengths, their limitations. That is also very important. We don't like to talk about our limitations, yet all of us have limitations. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's superhuman. Even the Superman had his kryptonite. So there you have it. And this is where you can and should use talent assessments, whatever your choice of the tool is. And you're welcome to join one of our webinars about assessments in the workplace. Also, we talk a lot about different types of assessments to help understand assessment market. But this is where talent assessments come into play. Now you can evaluate the 90% of who the person really is. Why do you need this information? Well, again, because we are all ships in our own bottles. My husband gave me this phrase, and I thought that was so smart, because we judge ourselves by our intentions, but other people judge us by the perceptions of those intentions. I'm going to repeat this because it's very important. You judge yourself by your intentions, but other people will judge you by the perception of those intentions. And they're looking at you and what you're doing through the glass of their own bottle. We're all inside our own heads. So what is your inner narrative that can potentially derail you or your communication with others? What story are you telling yourself about that other ship that has green sails? What prism do you filter the words that are being said? So perception is extremely important for us to talk about, because everything is a matter of perception. And we know, and that's another thing I spent quite a bit of time in our coaching and development sessions, emphasizing how critical it is to remember that perception is reality until proven otherwise. Sometimes it's a self-perception, you telling yourself a story about something, and other times it's a perception of others. Everyone has their own perceptions. Now check out this one. It blew my mind when I saw this picture. I'm like, this is perfect when we talk about perspective, because we all come from different places and see things from different perspectives. This is not a metaphor. That's simply the laws of the universe. You, depending on where you're standing, you can both be right, you and your colleague. So it's going to require you taking the time, stepping back, or bringing in another person who can see both perspectives or see the bigger picture to help you understand what is the truth, what is the reality. Nobody truly knows another human being. You only know the experience of you and how you experience the other person, and the rest, you just tell yourself a story about that person and their perception or their perspective. It doesn't have to be wrong. You both could be right. So how do you fix all this? Everything starts with communication. I'm often asked, what is the number one topic as a coach when I do one-on-one coaching? What is the number one topic we spent a lot of time on? That would be communication. And it's a big topic. You could have several 2-hour sessions on this probably, but I will give you a few words of wisdom. And they're going to tie into what I just showed you previously about the perception and perspective. Okay, so we've already established it's easy to get trapped in your own mind and start seeing things only through your prism. So what do? You communicate. How do you communicate? Always remember 2 things. It starts with you, and not everything is about you. I know it seems a little counterintuitive, but I will explain. The starting with you part. It starts with you. You pause, you check yourself, and you ask yourself, what did I hear? What did I assume? And remember the perspective of the other person. You could both be right. And then your discussions with that individual will be more about seeking a solution. Search for the truth, search for the solution, or search for the big picture, not a confrontation about who's right. In fact, the original definition of the word confrontation was search for the truth. So always check yourself. What did I assume? What did I tell myself a story? And it's often, why do we even assume? Well, the brain, we're evolutionarily predisposed to be doing this. Our brain is very capable of painting pictures and filling in the blanks. So when there's some information that's lacking, that's when the brain storytelling will kick in and will fill in the blanks based on assumptions, based on the information that you do have. So it may not be representative of what the reality is. So you want to always check for that. All right, and then the piece about not everything is about you. Do you often assume that the words you hear during a conversation, whether it's in a group meeting or one-on-one, is intended to do something to you, hurt you, expose you, or question you? Also, pause and observe yourself. Remind yourself that people say things for their own reasons. Remember, they're a ship in their own bottle. They have their own intentions, their own reasons to say the things that they're telling you that may or may not have anything to do with you. And you don't know those reasons until you ask, and you can drive yourself crazy imagining the true intentions behind the words that are being said. So before you go into that mode of confrontation or mode of hurt and you withdraw, whatever your typical reaction is, when you feel like you're being attacked, pause and go through these steps. Either take the words at face value, or if you need to clear the air, ask clarifying questions without assuming that everyone is out to get you or undermine you. So just remind yourself, not everything is about you. I had a client who interpreted anything that was being said as an attack on her. And so it took us some time to work through those individual situations. And then she went back and asked clarifying questions, only to discover that it literally had nothing to do with her. Somebody was irritated and was short with her, not because they were ticked off about something that she did or said, but because their child was sick. So this is where I believe that's really the linchpin of communication here. Another important piece is to be aware of self and aware of others to achieve better results. How do you do that? We're back to this picture. To know yourself and to understand your teammates at a deeper level, you need information. When we talk about awareness of self and others, of course, it can be based on keen observations over time. If you work with somebody, you start building a track record of how they typically react to this or that, but it can take a very, very long time that we don't have anymore. We already established retention is very critical. There's a lot of turnover. People are likely to move from one organization to the next more often and a lot sooner into their tenure, oftentimes just weeks into the new job. So you don't have a very long time to observe behaviors and then, according to those observations, put people together. You need a shortcut. And that shortcut is a psychometric assessment. I'm going to share with you an example of an assessment that my clients use in their team development conversations and the team workshops that we do. But any assessment for this purpose, for the purpose of developing teams and for the purpose of understanding yourself and your teammates, to foster that conversation about strengths and weaknesses. I mean, anything is better than nothing. I will be sharing with you about PXT Select Assessment, which is the one that provides, it's a very comprehensive tool. It provides reliable information about individuals, about how they communicate, what, again, their quirks of personality, how they react to different things. And it helps us uncover that 90% that lies beneath the water surface. And this can be done for many of my clients. Actually, they use it during onboarding. And so before they even have a team workshop, team development conversation, maybe they've already done it, and then they have new people coming on board. Perhaps it's a leadership team. What they will do is put the new individual through the assessment, and we'll get together for a long lunch and discuss what they've already uncovered about each other and how this new person can be complementary to their team. So in the first 2 weeks during onboarding, the new person, no matter what level in the company they are, they know their team on a deep level, and they know how they fit and contribute to the team. Because information is power. I am all about this. Why are we not achieving better results with humans in the workplace? Typically, it's because there's lack of information about people. Like, we don't understand how do you predict performance? How do you predict if you put these two people together? How can you tell that they're going to be productive? They will be able to communicate. Then we have different generations in the workplace too, where you have often younger managers on the leadership team, and then they have direct reports that are on the way to retirement. So there may be some disconnect about the work ethic or about the direction of the company or how we do things. Like these really fundamental, personal, value-based type of things that often derail the conversation. It causes people to go back to their own bottles, go back to their own spaces and start assuming things, telling themselves a story. Oh, it's just a millennial, you know how they are. Or the younger leader may be telling themselves a different story. And it's not productive. When you label people, it's not productive. Anyway, back to this. So information that you can get from the assessment helps you understand self and team members better, their weaknesses and their strengths. And when you can have this honest conversation, basically bring people in the room and talk about, okay, this is where you're strong and this is where you're weak, and I'm going to set you up for success. So when I need this, I know I can go to Tom. And when I need this, I know I'm not going to go to Sarah, or what have you. So then individual weaknesses are made irrelevant because you're working on a complementary team. It is such a powerful experience. And I'm emphatic about it, very passionate about it, because I experienced it myself. And I never thought that it was possible. In fact, I didn't, and I thought this was just a fluke. But then we use the assessment time and time again with different teams, and we build those complementary teams, and the results they're achieving beat all expectations. It's really quite impressive that you can just fix it by knowing who the people are and how they're going to react to different things. What does PXT measure? Very briefly, there's 5 cognitive measurements, 9 behavioral traits, and 6 motivational interests that we measure on the assessment. As I said, it's a very comprehensive assessment. It is traditionally used for pre-employment and for job matching, but we also, because it comes with a team report, we enjoy using this in this context, in the team conversation context. We particularly focus on the behavioral traits in our team workshops. And I will demonstrate in just a moment. There we go. So there's 20 measurements on a scale from 1 to 10. It's a normed assessment. So majority of the people will score in the middle, between 4 and 6, 4 and 7. And then the closer somebody scores to the left or to the right of the spectrum, it just makes them very unique. And that in itself becomes a very powerful piece of information for the individuals that do score 1 and 10. Because now they understand that they're not bad people because they cannot identify with others. They're just so unique. There's only 2.5% of the population who are just like them. It was very important to me because when I took the assessment, I found that I'm 1s and 10s all over the place. So I have very unique scores. And now, and it helped with my self-esteem, frankly, to learn that it doesn't make me weird or out of place. I'm just unique. And I have my own set of strengths and weaknesses, as do my teammates. So it will tell you how each person learns and communicates. It will tell you how each person reacts to their environment and what are some activities that motivate each person. What's interesting about PXT Select is it helps us measure that fingerprint. It's like an occupational DNA. I like to use a fingerprint analogy because the number of possible outcomes for one individual are over 10 trillion. So we're not putting people in buckets as many personality tests do. We're really measuring the uniqueness of each person. So what do we do in the team development workshop in a typical scenario? Simple 3 steps. Assess individuals on the team to identify their strengths and weaknesses. Generate a team report for each team member so that they can learn about the behavioral diversity of the team and what are some of the actions that they need to be taking as a team and individually. And it will help them navigate communication behaviors as a team. And then on the team workshop, which is typically 90 minutes, or if it's in person, we'll do kind of a long lunch, bringing it all together for an in-depth, essentially it's a group coaching session. That's how we typically do it. This is a sample team report. So it shows, it's a small team, but shows the diversity, kind of the spread, where all the team members are on the team. And then it gives the narrative. So we'll take this one, for example. Outlook measurement is an interesting one because it goes from skeptical to trusting. So how important is it to measure outlook on your team? Well, if you are putting a project team together and you have a specific problem that you need to solve, you probably need to have some diversity. You need to have some skeptics. Yes, in isolation in certain situations, their weakness could be that they're negative. Let's be honest, they're judgy and negative, and they can shoot things down pretty quickly. But they're wired to ask questions. They're wired to see how things can go wrong. If your team was comprised of just skeptics, all they can see is how things can go wrong. It doesn't help you solve the problem. That's why you need to bring in people like Phil and Iris who are more trusting and optimistic. So they know how to make things happen. And when you bring both of these perspectives together and you have a discussion, you will have a much healthier outcome. And that's just one of the 9 behavioral traits that we discussed. And so now, when Iris looks at Oliver after the meeting, she's like, oh, I thought you were just a nasty person. I didn't know why you were always so negative. Why are you always asking questions? Why are you always raining on my parade? I'm ready to go and you're being this and that. So she had it in her mind that he was just a negative person that she didn't want to have anything to do with. She never even considered the idea that Oliver might bring something positive to the team and improve their results and outcome. All right, and then the rest of the report will show some tips and team averages, what the team needs to work on And we work through some of these talent gaps, build an action plan, really celebrate strengths and differences. You know, differences do not have to be difficulties. When we talk about dealing with difficult people on the team or just in general, those difficult people are probably just really different from you. And when you know what makes them different, will help you appreciate their differences and their weaknesses and their strengths. And then your communication with them is going to be much more effective. And they won't trigger you. You won't think that they're just being difficult. They're kind of irritating. It's, again, going back to this, it provides an incredible data point. It's a piece of information that's so critical for when we're putting a bunch of people together, but we're like throwing a bunch of those ships in the bottles in a pot and expect them to start achieving amazing results together. They have to be given something to navigate through. So an example of an action step, I like to use the keep, stop, and start KSS method for development. And this can be development, personal development, and it can be group development. So you may have some action items for yourself and action items to do as a team. So what do we need to keep doing that we're already doing well when it comes to communication? As a team, we're giving credit, we're expressing gratitude. And we're not assuming, because we learned in Tatiana's session that we should not be assuming, and checking for perspectives. And starting today, we will keep doing that. Stop being passive aggressive, stop judging, and so on. And then there may be some start doing items. So this is just an example of a more recent workshop that we did with the team. Yours could be different, and yours may not be communication. Maybe for your team, accountability, holding people accountable, or some different type of result that you're looking for. So let's open up for questions. Smile, well, I don't know, Smile, if you can unmute people or people themselves. Folks, feel free to unmute yourself and or put some questions in the chat. So we got one question from Carol. Thank you for engaging, Carol. Is the assessment similar to MBTI, Myers-Briggs? It seems to be used for a different purpose. I'm familiar with MBTI. Myers-Briggs is based on Big Five behaviors, so it's a personality test. The number of possible outcomes on this is 32. And PXT Select is quite different because it has 20 measurements on a scale from 1 to 10. So it's, if you would compare the two assessments, I would say Myers-Briggs would be like your X-ray, and PXT Select is like MRI. So it goes in depth and helps you understand deeper those underlying reasons for why people do this or choose to do this and all of their tendencies. Okay. All right. Perfect. And Alavette, you raised your hand.
Yes, Tatiana, thank you so much. Very informative. My question is actually around the cost for this program. I know that this particular session is free, but when you are going to conduct the testing, how is it done, and what is the cost for individuals and for organizations?
The cost is going to depend on the number of people in the group and also on what it is that you're looking to accomplish. Because I don't like to use the same approach for different situations, because I think every company is unique and their needs are unique. So I would first try to diagnose what it is that where is it hurting and what are you looking to accomplish? Because PXT team workshop may not be the right solution for your situation. It could be that you're just looking for some one-on-one coaching or group coaching on a different topic, and we may not even use an assessment. It could be just more along the lines of skill development, and we can pick up a couple of leadership acceleration modules. So it's really individual, but the assessment itself is very cost effective. And again, we can talk offline, Lavette. I'm happy to continue the conversation and give you a firm quote.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Carol had another question. Have you published any outcomes using the PXT method? Yes, if you go to my website, our website, greatpeoplemanagement.com, we have a whole section for case studies where different organizations use PXT for different purposes, for hiring in a critical position with the intent to reduce turnover and improve retention, or improve onboarding, or improve teamwork. All of that is in there. Yeah, we love to track results because I'm not a fluffy person. It's like, okay, let's get together and do something that's fun to do. Okay, that's good. But then it becomes just an event. What I am a proponent of is truly transforming behaviors and transforming organizations. So this leadership development, team development becomes a process. It's a practice, a continuous process, and you can use different types of assessments as part of it. And then we track how it's impacting the organization. Because if it's not, maybe I'm not your cup of tea. Maybe you should look for a different solution. Maybe we should add something different. So what I would like to, by the way, before I jump into this, we still have a few minutes, so feel free if you want to chime in with other questions. Anyone else? All right, while you're thinking about it, you may come up with more questions. I would like to extend a special invitation to the attendees only to experience PXT Select free of charge. And then you will be able to, and there's no obligation. So no strings attached. I really just want you to experience the power of information that it can give you for your personal self-awareness. And then you will be able to make a more informed decision about whether or not this is something that's worth looking into, worth investing for the rest of your team. I will debrief the results with you, so we can work through this different scenarios in which you might want to utilize this tool. We'll talk about your team's challenges and how this might be beneficial to your organization. But again, no strings attached at all. I obviously love what I do. I hope it shows. And I love giving out PXTs and debriefing the results. I know 100% you will be blown away by the experience. Carol is asking, do you have any clients in the education industry? Yes, in fact, I worked with several university systems. We've done leadership development. We've done this team workshop across the country. And I have East Coast universities that I'm working with. I am a coach with Gonzaga University. They have an emerging, I don't want to misrepresent their program. They have an internal program for developing leaders in their community. And part of that is PXT Select and our 360. And then once participants of that leadership development program go through the 2 assessments, I will come in with some coaching to help them develop their plan. So I have done quite a bit of work with, yes, education industry. And there's also another assessment that we have that's used for career pathing. And that one is often used I'm trying to get it to be used more widely in high schools, because we need to, when people get to the university level, it's probably a little too late for career orientation. They probably need to start having these conversations and get to know their own strengths a little earlier in the process. So if anybody on the call has any suggestions or any contacts how I could get involved with school systems across the country, it's kind of my passion project, because I have 2 high schoolers myself, so I know how important it is for their development and really knowing what they want to do, because most of them don't know what they want to do. Even grown adults don't know what they want to do oftentimes. All right, I think that's all the questions. I didn't see any more questions in the chat. Feel free, please, to connect with me on LinkedIn. We will be following up with all of you to provide you with a recording and more information about how you can participate in the free PXT Select demo. Email me, call me, go on our website. We currently are running our Leadership Wisdom Advent calendar. So check it out. We're sharing every single day. We're sharing a piece of leadership wisdom that I've collected over the years. And there's some videos and some quotes and that sort of thing. So I hope you enjoy it. But we're posting it on LinkedIn as well as on the website. There's a lot of great information on the website, greatpeoplemanagement.com. Connect with me, follow us, and don't be a stranger. Reach out. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm here for you. Thank you for participating. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. Thank you.
So welcome.